uh, it seems as though, especially when talking with a lot of founders in the healthcare software space, is that it's really difficult to sell to providers, payers, et
Hmm.
cetera. Sales cycle for healthcare software companies is notoriously much longer than most traditional enterprise software tools. I mean, how do you approach something like this? Like, what is your take on investing in healthcare software, especially knowing these caveats? And I know you talked about earlier that we're repeating this point again, you are very good at identifying companies that actually have impactful ROI, which probably speeds up that sales cycle. But
Exactly. Yeah.
you might be repeating this, but I'd love to get your take on this, on this
Yeah. I
challenge.
think that, yeah, that thing, I think that's the, that point comes up again. I mean, I do think the sales cycle, the typical sales cycles in healthcare, like you said, can be 18 to 24 months. I mean, a whole startup can sort of die in that, sort of time frame. But also, there's also this other dynamic, which is death by pilots, for healthcare, which is like a lot of the health systems or payers will do a pilot with a company that will be unpaid or lightly paid, and you can kind of, that could be a pilot to nowhere, and that's another sort of valley of death for startups. So we are looking for elements that are going to counter that in our investment. So yeah, is there some element that truncates the sales cycle? So we talked about the ROI. And that's why it's critical for us to be having that ear to the ground around what's really important for the health systems or payers, because we know then you're going to be sort of in a buying mindset. Those customers are going to be in that buying mindset for the next sort of 2 to 3 years, because that will also help an early stage company, right? If it's something that's top of mind, it's a lot easier to get that seat at the table. So I think that's another element. And then, I mean, well, let's bring it back to sort of a people element. I mean, there are some teams that are really scrappy and good at sales and good at getting, leveraging their network, have the right network, use the right tools, and effectively get, in front of customers and communicate and deliver in a way that, leads to good results. So I do think the team plays an important role in that. And that's why assessing the team, the time of our investment, is so important too, because in an early stage company where you don't have a perfectly outlined sales organization, everyone is contributing to sales in some way, shape, or form, and so the team is so important. So I think those are couple of the things that we haven't really talked about as much that are also important related to the sales cycle.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense, and it's a hard problem, but it's your approach in being able to identify where's that sweet spot and how do you find those companies in that
Yeah.
position that are good is interesting.
Yeah. And I
Um,
mentioned one other thing that just came to mind, which is
mhm.
common sort of formula for our companies that Liam and I talk about is getting that first sale or first 2 sales can be really hard. But once you have that, can you get the customer to sort of lock arms with you and either co-publish data on sort of the outcomes and the ROI? And if you can, that tends to be a really effective sales tool that accelerates the sales cycles moving forward. So a number of our companies have done that, which is sort of get the first customer that's buying because they are advanced in their thinking, or they're generally more favorable to startups, and then get them to sort of really publish and work with you on the data, and then use that as a sales tool. And that's been a really nice formula for many of our companies to sort of, kind of battle the sales cycles.
Interesting.